victimized her. He ruined her entire life from childhood until now. I think that there's probably some sense of guilt. And my fear is that sense of guilt is causing you to not want to assist in the location of her, not because you're a bad person, but because there's that sense of guilt that what was happening under your roof, and now, by her being found, brings that all to your plate, and it doesn't.
Oh no, if I knew anything, I would so tell you. I wanted to even if she's dead, because you guys tell me your suspicions, but I'm not going to believe it until I have her body.
So there are things, and the reason I say these things, and again, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but the reason I say these things is there's been a lot of things you've said, and a lot of things I've kind of researched between the Fox 35 story, between your initial statement to the police. A lot of things have changed. The initial statement to the police was you watched her get dressed, you watched her leave, you knew exactly what she was wearing.
Can I tell you
Absolutely.
my thought process on that, or where I came from with that? I was handed this form, and I'm like, where do I start? What do I write? And somebody said, tell them what you saw. And so I started with, I saw.
And the interview that we are going to watch a couple clips of today are from Jenn Soto's interview on March 1st. Okay, so the interview starts, they bring her in, and they ask her a couple questions, and she immediately kind of barks. Yeah, that was when they asked her about the interview that she had done on the news. And she barked out, yeah, that was when he was ugly crying, effing ugly crying, and with his fake sobbing. And it kind of took me off guard because we hadn't seen her have any emotion whatsoever or show any outrage at all throughout this whole thing. And even during this interview, you know, she does cry a couple times, but there's still no outrage. Like, where is the mama bear? Where is the, you know, I just can't, I can't fathom this. And I guess we should have like a trigger warning on all of this stuff, because as I'm watching all of these interviews and listening to the excuses and all of the red flags that were just blatantly ignored. It wasn't that she just missed them. She blatantly ignored them, okay? One of the things that the policeman kept saying to her, he tells her that they had went back, they've been able to trace the abuse back on his phone to 2020. So at least 2020. It could have been happening before then. But what they've been able to trace back from his phone, from the evidence on his phone, it goes back to 2020. Well, this is 2024. So she just had her 13th birthday. So you do the math on that. She was 9 years old. The statistic for women who have been abused as children is very, very high. So I imagine that most of us who are watching these and following this case have had personal experience as a victim when they were children. So this is all it's very upsetting for many reasons, but that's probably one of the biggest ones that people are reacting to, because so many of us have that firsthand experience as a victim ourselves. And so there's so much outrage on our part. You know, how did the mother miss this? How did she not see these things? And I think that's the only conclusion that we can come to, is that it was just blatantly ignored. She saw the relationship developing between him and Maddie. And she swears up and down she didn't know anything. But I think if she was really, really honest with herself, she knew. She may have not known the extent of it, but she could tell something. during the interview, the cops ask her about if she's ever been part or if she's ever known about any of the lies that Stefan has told. And yeah, she knew that he lied to his dad. She knew that he stole from his dad. So Stefan was letting her in on those parts of his deception. So she said that he had been buying lots of stuff because he kept having all these packages coming to his house or coming to her house. And she said, he doesn't have any money, so I don't know how he's buying these things other than he stole money out of his dad's emergency fund that he found in his closet. His dad had some cash stashed, and he found that, took a few $100s out of that. He had stole things from his dad and went and sold them. And his mom and dad knew that he was capable of doing that because they said themselves during their interview, things that would come up missing or whatever from his house. He always wondered if Stefan had taken it and sold it for drug money or whatever. But we come to find out it's not so much drug money that he's wanting as it is Tamagotchis. So, or his next trading card or board game or action figure just blows me away. And him with these, flabby body. That's another trigger warning. If you do find the video and watch it yourself of him being stripped down and photographed and all that good stuff, he looks very defeated. He looks like he's being victimized, and he's got his head down and he looks like he's embarrassed and he's mortified and as well he should be. He had 2 women messing with his junk, moving his junk all around. One of them's moving his junk around and the other one's taking pictures. And they were looking for specific markings on his body that they had seen in the photographs and the videos. They mentioned a freckle that they seen on the video, so they were looking all around his junk looking for that freckle so they could take a picture of it. And then there was another specific marking that they were looking for, but they couldn't find it because they said it needed to be full size before they could see it. So they couldn't find the one special marking, but they did find the freckle. So that's good. It's just so creepy. This whole thing is just so creepy. Jenn, on one side, I feel sorry for her, and on the other side, I want to shake the daylights out of her. Like, what were you thinking? Why could you not have done something before she lost her life? Did Maddie have to actually lose her life? No, she didn't. She said that he got really nervous after they took his phone, and he was like, should I have given them my phone? And she was like, yeah, you didn't have nothing to do with it. You should have given them your phone. And he was like, I want my phone back. I want my phone back. I want my phone back. I have to have my phone. They can't take my phone. And what did he think he was gonna do? Just say, hey, look, I don't have nothing on my phone, y'all. I accidentally reset it, factory reset it. But if I get anything back, I'll let you know. No, that ain't how that works. You're not just gonna show it to them and then they're gonna let you put it back in your pocket. I'm just dumbfounded that that's what he actually thought. That during his interview, when the cops started asking him or telling him, that apartment complex has many cameras and there's a camera right above the dumpster and we seen you going back and forth to the dumpster, did you throw anything away? And he was like, oh yeah, I did take the house garbage out. Just, it's like the audacity of people. The audacity. It just makes me crazy. Okay. So he said several times he wanted his phone back, and Jen was like, yeah, go ask him for your phone. That's a real good way to make yourself look less suspicious. You know, the way that she was explaining it in the police interview, she was very short with Stefan, but that's not what we see in anything. We see her comforting him. We see him being so upset, and her like, oh my gosh, let me just pet you. Put your head here. Put your head right here and let me pat you on the head. I mean, really? So she said that she thought that he just, he had nervous energy. He was bored. He didn't have his phone that he could play his games on. So she said, I let him play with my phone. She said, but then he didn't even go to play games like I thought he was going to. She said he was trying to get into his email. And because he had set up the 2-factor authentication on his email, he couldn't get into his email from her phone because it sent the code to his phone. And the cops had his phone. So that wasn't going to work. He couldn't get into his emails. And she said that when she told him that they were coming and shutting down the house, he didn't believe her. So sometimes, and his mommy went on and on about such a high IQ. He didn't have much of a high IQ, I'm sorry. Let's see, he told her that he was so worried about his phone because he had packages coming. He had other stuff coming in the mail, and he didn't want to miss his packages. She said, and it makes me wonder, too. They were talking about how he never had any money. She said anything that he ever wanted, he found a way to get. She said that she was so worried that they were focusing on the wrong person, that they just wanted them to hurry up and clear him so they could get on and find the real person that took Maddie. She said that she just never dreamed. She said the possibility never even entered her mind that Stefan had done anything to her. She kind of corroborated everything that the dad had said in his interview, Stefan's dad. She said that they had called him and he came down, and she said that they had went to eat the next day, her and Chris, Stefan's dad, and that they even thought, oh, well, because Stefan was sleeping upstairs in the hotel room, they couldn't wake him up. So they decided to buy him something to eat and take it up to the room to him she said, oh, well, you've got to eat something. Come on, Stefan, you have to eat. Just take a couple bites. Mind you, her daughter's missing. And she just slept the night before? Are you going to be sleeping the first night that your child is missing and she's not home? I wouldn't have slept. There's no way I could have laid down and closed my eyes. It just goes to show you how much medication these people are really on. If you can eat and lay down and sleep and carry on a normal conversation, and just make Stefan your priority, and it kind of shows you through this emergency situation, her missing and they hadn't found her yet, and her making him her priority instead of her missing daughter. It kind of shows you how the relationship was. It kind of shows you how Maddie's life was. Maddie was in the background, but Stefan was her numero uno priority. And making him happy and content was her number one priority. Stefan's interview was like 5 hours long. Jen's interview was like 4 hours and 22 minutes. These were really, really long interviews, and I don't want to rehash something that we've already said in a different video. So, and they asked her what she had done, and she was like, oh, well, we ate lunch, and I took a little snooze. She has said that several times. We took a little snooze. and we snuggle. Oh, we just chit-chatted. I know the way that we talk is kind of cultural, but the way that she talks gets on my nerves. Let's see. She's so sympathetic towards Stefan. Like, even after she knows what he did, she is super sympathetic. Watch this clip right here.
If I knew anything, I would so tell you. I want to believe that she's done because you guys tell me your suspicions, but I'm not going to believe it until I have her body.
So there are things, and the reason I say these things, and again, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but the reason I say these things is there's been a lot of things you've said, and a lot of things I've kind of researched between the Fox 35 story, between your initial statement to the police. A lot of things have changed. The initial statement to the police was you watched her get dressed, you watched her leave, you knew exactly what she was wearing.
Can I tell you
Absolutely.
my thought process on that, or where I came from with that? I was handed this form, and I'm like, where do I start? What do I write? And somebody said, tell them what you saw. And so I started with I saw.
Right? Under your roof. With you home, most likely, because you said you're always home. You just got this job. You've been living off disability. I know the Kissimmee Police Department has showed you pictures. I know they've verbally explained to you some pictures. I can tell you that today, we are still downloading his Google Drives. We are still going through his social medias, his cloud-based servers, and everything else. And we can now piece back her victimization in your house under your care to 2020. I believe we've gone as far back as in when she... So when I ask, they've woken up cuddling, did you find things suspicious? Did you have an open with talk to you? Has he made inappropriate statements? It's almost like cheating, right? Like, you ever been cheated on? Okay. Somebody can only cheat on somebody for so long until they fuck up, or until something comes out, or somebody says something, right? So we go back to 2020, we're looking at a minimum of 3.5 years. 3.5 years where I'm sure you guys are sexually active. You guys... Yes. So for 3.5 years under your care in your house, not only is he being sexually active with you, he had a sexual relationship. And I know it's an emotional thing, and I know it sucks to hear, but where I'm coming from is it seems like something that you can't hide forever. You guys live in a small space, close quarters, you sleep in the same bed, you guys all talk, you guys all share things, you're an observant person for the most part, I assume. Outside of taking medications and going to sleep, it seems very difficult. A lot of grown-ass adults can't hide an affair with somebody who doesn't live with them, let alone somebody who does live with them. So at a certain point, I do believe you became aware of what was going on.
No.
And when I say that, it doesn't mean you're in trouble. It doesn't change.
I know,
But I do believe that a reasonable person, and I consider you a reasonable person, right? Do you think you're a reasonable person?
Yes.
Would be aware that under her roof, sexual relation. The videos, the text messages, the images, they are all documented forever. This has been an ongoing thing. And at her age, I think she probably thought they were in a relationship. She probably thought they were in love because he her male attention, right? She just started liking boys, right? She just got a crush. Up until then, her crush at the same time, you guys are sleeping in the same bed together. You guys are all cohabitating. She's not sleeping in her room. But you felt the need to establish a rule that they couldn't sleep in the same room. But when you established that rule, for 3 years, she's already been dating him, essentially. Whether that's legal or not.
I had no idea.
So I truthfully believe, and this is my belief, I'm not speaking for other detectives, I'm not speaking for the sheriff's office, the state police department, or any other agency I've said. This is Kevin's belief. I believe that you became aware of your sexual relationship. I think at a certain point throughout this relationship, you became aware of it, and for whatever reason, your reasons are your reasons, whether it was discussed that it would stop, whether it was discussed how it would go, that you feel some sense of guilt. A lot of the news statements you've given kind of, again, my opinion only, I don't speak for anybody else, whether it's in this room or out of this room, bother me. It seems like some of your emotion, up until this room, I think some of the emotion in this room is sincere. I think a lot of it's because of being an asshole. I'm telling you things you don't want to hear that shouldn't be said out loud. But when you talk to the news, when you talk to deputies, it feels, based on my experience in this job, that it's not sincere. I feel like some of your sadness is not real sadness. I feel like when you gave the interview with Fox 35, it was not sincere. Looking at that video one time, I didn't feel like your cries were sincere. And I'm not saying that because you're a bad person. I feel like sometimes people struggle to show real emotion when they're aware of what the truth is. So it has to be fake. This is demise for the past, let's say, 5 years, right? But her going missing, her disappearance, if you have knowledge of how it happened, where it happened, an inclination, that emotion's not going to feel sincere because you're already aware of what happened.
I would.
It's almost becomes a lie at that point.
If I knew anything, I promise you, I would tell you. Like, I am willing to take a lie detector test, whatever the fuck you want, but I don't know anything. He's never mentioned anything. I've never seen any signs. I tried watching her like a hawk. I thought I was doing a good job, but I wasn't. I was oblivious to everything.